This is Making Light. Julie Hurt and Kate Fogger are soul-level intuitives and animal communicators. This show is about us sharing our experiences in the hope it will help others along their path. So let's go make some light. Hello everybody, we are making light to humans being. I am Kate Fogger, this is Julie Hurt, and after a lot of sniggering, we're actually here with you. We are on YouTube, and we are now also on a podcast, which is currently available on Spotify, but will be available elsewhere. So if you don't need to see our beautiful faces and you just want to listen to our inane dribbling, then you can just get it on audio. How's that? Julie's laughing again. I don't know, Julie's yeah. So this week we start a new theme for, I guess, October. Ta-da!
Yeah.
Now, I had written down bravery. I think you're going to recraft that. But I want you to explain yourself, basically, Mrs. Hurt.
Okay, all righty then. That's Ms.
Is it?
To you. I did not buy into the patriarchy, and I did not take my husband's last name.
Wait, I have a story about that, because that really annoys me, right? Because when I was married before, I didn't change my name because I liked my name, Kate Patterson. And I liked it, and I thought that I was going to get a PhD and I'd be Dr. Patterson, and then someone told me that was a really crass thing to do, so I gave up my PhD. I got a job because I thought that was okay. I wanted to be Dr. Patterson. And then when I married Gary, because his name is Fogger, I thought it was something really exotic. And you know what? It's really hard to change your name, like, because of all the identity theft. I mean, so that was me doing the right thing, what society expected of me, because I thought it was a cool name. And they make it really fucking difficult for you. Even Sky TV wanted to see my marriage certificate. I'm like, it's none of your business. What do you care as long as I pay the bill?
Right.
There we go. So you didn't change your name?
No, neither time. Like always, I've been Julie Hurt from the time I was born.
There is a simplicity that I like about that. And had I known that Fogger is actually picked, which is Northern English, I might not have bothered had I known. But still, I don't know. Kate Fogger's quite cool, I think.
I think so too.
In fact,
there's a mist. Yeah.
There's another one in Edinburgh, which is literally 40 miles away. It's a little bit irritating, but there we go.
There's another Julie Hurt that makes quilts, and she's got juliehurt.com, FYI. But I'd love to meet her someday. She looks pretty cool. All right. So what we're talking about, the month of October, we're talking about bravery. Bravery as a workaround behavior. And thanks so far for listening to all of that before we got to the actual meat. So bravery as a workaround. And as Kate and I were talking about this too, bravery can come in a couple different forms. And actually, I think we'll also look, I'm like checking in with, okay, so y'all, my main guide is Aslan from the Chronicles of Narnia, right? So lion. And so he's also saying, we're going to also look at this from the other aspect of bravery. We can look at the duality of it, or the I don't want to say shadow, because I don't want to label this stuff, right, as good or bad, because nothing is good or bad. It's what happens. Bravery, as far as bravado, is one way, but also bravery in its other form is being coward. So he's reminding me the cowardly lion from Wizard of Oz. So we can look at all this type of, I'm getting like this whole jumbly thing that is bravery as a workaround whenever we deploy bravery. Yeah.
You're going to have to explain this for people who are on audio. Julie just waved. We're going to need.
I just did like this whole, like, as if I was like, my hands were like a ball of yarn. And then I completely put it like in one big jumbled mess. Yeah. Think of like a messed up spider web too, would be another way. Anywho.
Interesting, because I was struggling to think where we're going to go with this. And just as you described it, I've thought of a huge one, but there we go.
Oh, see, but bam. All right. So that's what we were going to talk about this whole month, is how bravery, bravado, cowardice, and whatever else we can think of in terms of bravery, and how that all shows up through different negative beliefs. Today, we're going to focus on not lovable. However, once y'all listen to this, if you have other thoughts about bravery and what bravery means to you, and or being cowardly, let us know. And we can address that as the month goes on. Luckily, you'll have a little more time this month because at some point here, Kate's going to take a little holiday. And so we'll have a week or two where we'll still get everything in the month of October, but you'll have a little bit of time there. We'll give you an alert as to when there'll be a gap. So Bravery for the whole month of October as workaround behaviors to help you get through, help you shield all this stuff, negative belief. Okay. Makes sense? Are you good?
I'm good.
Okay. Do you want to start? Because you said you just had something.
I haven't followed it through to Unloveable, but I'm sure it will get there. So we were looking at it in a context of Unloveable. You said, I was just curious as to what brought this up for you, as in why we chose it, or you chose it rather. Not that I'm pointing fingers or anything like that. I can't remember why, because I thought it was a great idea at the time, and I'm like, I can't remember why.
I don't know why, actually. So I remember you and I were like thinking you had this idea to move making light to humans being to this schedule, follow this format of let's take a look at a workaround. And somehow Bravery popped up. And I don't know if that came from your working with Ava Baronius as a protection mechanism, which is kind of her language for, I don't want to say like they're exactly the same, but because they may be, they may not be, depends on how one reacts to it. But protection mechanism, workaround kind of thing is how I was translating it.
See, that's very astute to you, because I think Bravery actually is quite a strong workaround of mine. As I say, I haven't chased it back yet, but I don't think that's something. So when Julie and I did a course at Eva Baronius, I'll put links down below, or they're in the show notes anyway. And she talked about fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And that's why we did workaround of overwork, which is a fight response, which was news to me because I didn't know. And procrastination is the freeze. So I thought we were going to follow the other two, and then you said Bravery, and I can't. It's just interesting to me. I have to chew through my my workaround for Bravery. So why don't you go, and I'll see what comes up. Some just occurred to me.
So for Not Loveable, so like I said, my main guide Aslan has shown up today, as well as St. Francis. It's always interesting when I do soul level intuitive coaching sessions. Many times I like to, it's not me. I mean, I say I like to, but it's really the guides are like, well, we kind of give you the little ping, like you should see which one of us are here to help with the session. Because it's like my guides talk with the client's guides, right? So I don't necessarily see the client's guides. I guess I could look sometimes, but I always feel like that's kind of a little bit of that's their privacy. So I don't necessarily. So I'm just don't know why I'm babbling about that. Any hoozle. Many times I do like to see who's here from my guides, because my guides have different roles, and every human is different, right? In how your guides work. My guides, I have a different one that does different things with me. Aslan's my overall main. He's like puffing like the main dude. And then I've got one for play, one for letting go, one for exploring. And then I've got some like Ascended Masters, which is St. Francis is one of them. So so Aslan and St. Francis are here when we're talking about Bravery and Not Loveable. And what they're showing me is they're telling me, like, they're showing me walking into a party, which is like, okay, why don't you just give me the worst case scenario? Because I would prefer to not go to a party. I don't like to go places where I don't know people. And even when I have to do that, I tend to be the person that like finds you. And you may not know me, you may know me either way, but like say, Kate, I didn't know you and I'd go to a party and then you and I talked and I was like, oh, I really like you. I will stay near you the whole entire time because Brad is an extrovert. And so Brad has no problem like easily mingling. And every time we have to go to a party, I'll say, which isn't very often because I've been able to like say no more times, but I'll say to him, please don't abandon me. Can you please just take my hand and like take me elsewhere so that because I'll just sit in a corner and just like hang out with a person or so. I'm not really good at mingling, even though my grandmother who just showed up, just like, remember I tried to teach you that? Yes, you did, Grandma. I'm not good at that. Anywho's. So they're showing me like that worst case scenario of trying to go into a party. And I actually just did this now that I think about it, when we had to go somewhere for the Animal Communication Collective. And I'm just like, this is my worst nightmare, to go into a place I don't know a soul. So anyway, they're showing me that I will work knowing that I don't like to do this. And I don't feel lovable in a party situation. Like I feel like, okay, I'm going to walk in and people are going to be like, and like, there's no one there's going to love me. Right. So I try really hard. I like overcompensate to like puff up my chest. This is what Aslan is showing me. I puff up my chest and I try to just like bulldoze my way in, like, hi, here I am, and try to sustain that energy, that bravery energy, for as long as I possibly can. Like they're showing me like a balloon and I like blow it up, and it's like as much bravery as I can possibly muster to get in through the doors and into some area and find, and then still slowly revert to my behavior of finding somebody to go into the corner. Or even like, I won't have an issue. They're showing me this too, that I won't have a problem if music is playing and there's room to dance. I have no problem like finding a person who will dance with me, because at least then I look like I'm engaged in the party and I look like I'm participating, when really all I want to do is go home and put on my pajamas and read my book with my dog. So do you see, like, for me, like,
right.
yeah. Huh?
Dancing would be my worst nightmare. Interesting.
Yeah.
So you see, because when you said bravery before, I was thinking, well, how is that a workaround? I guess it is in that context, because so just to explain, workarounds aren't necessarily bad things.
No.
You know, I love a spreadsheet, and I'm very articulate, very not articulate. Well, I'm very articulate, I think. I'm very analytical, and that's a workaround of mine to get into the data. That's not always a bad thing. It's only a bad thing if you're using it because you can't help yourself, I think. Would that be a good definition? Something that you default to when you're under stress or whatever, or rather than something that, like, using your tools for good, should we say, or that's something that's helpful. So workaround doesn't have to be a bad thing, but actually what you're talking about actually is, I think you said it earlier, is bravado rather than bravery. Is it? I don't know, maybe we need a definition.
Like for me, it feels like that situation of going into a party is just like being brave. I don't know, bravado. That's a good question. I don't feel like well, maybe bravado.
I don't know. Doesn't
Doesn't matter.
Go to YouTube and not YouTube, Google and look it up. That's interesting. Oh, will I share? Chairs all tangled up.
It's interesting that the glass I'm using is my husband's Batman glass, just because it had water in it and I was trying to finish the water so I don't waste it.
Because you don't want to waste water. So I also have to, because I know Brad sometimes listens to this show, I also have to say, naughty boy, he should never leave you. That's horrible, to leave you knowing that if you're shy or that you don't like being with other people, he just swans off and leaves you. Why can't he, you know?
Well, yeah, but okay, yes. And I will say, this is where I realize, like, we have soul contracts, right, with other people, and we have a bunch of them. And one of his, for me, is to keep me from retreating into my shell. Because if it were me, I wouldn't go, if it were up to me, I wouldn't be here right now. Meaning I wouldn't know you. I wouldn't have met Danielle. I wouldn't have studied with her. I wouldn't, like, all these things. For me, while I, give myself some credit, a lot of it is also from him pushing me, because he believes I can do all this stuff too, even though he also rolls his eyes and sometimes can be frustrating at this. I mean, we wouldn't have lived in Alaska if it hadn't been for him, because he's the one that gets, like, his impatience. This is where impatience for him can be a superpower, or where he just, it's the whole thing. And I can see, like, okay, I get you. So he does that. I think also unconsciously, he doesn't mean it when he leaves me behind at a party, leaves me floating out there all by myself. At the same time, it's also because I need to get, it's good to push me in that regard, if that makes sense. So yeah, I don't like it.
I used to did I like parties? I don't know. I would have been fueled by alcohol in the olden days, so I probably would have been all right in a party. But not drinking and going to a party probably wouldn't happen, probably wouldn't go. Because you know, so when you're drinking, to go anywhere for another drink, that's fine. I don't mind. You know, I used to get quite excited about meeting new people. I don't think of myself as insecure, but actually I think I am underneath it all. But I'll call it out. The other good thing, see, being a smoker as well, you know, you've always got company. Smokers always have company. And that's
You're a smoker? I didn't know this. Are you a smoker?
not now. I miss smoking. I so miss smoking. All the cool people are outside smoking. Basically. They are. There's no getting away from it. I don't care what the fucking government says. Smoking is cool. You know, you would, wherever you went at university, and that's not why I smoked, at least not without a bit of digging, but I don't think so. But there is a community of smoking, especially in Scotland, as it became more and more frowned upon by everybody else. That actually made us a lot more. I've given up smoking a few times and then gone back to it, and then given up and then gone back to it, and then given up and then gone back to it. When I started Danielle's, I was smoking, I was vaping. I started vaping again when my mum got more difficult, because actually she's never complained about me smoking, ironically, just never. But it was a reason to get out of her flat and go and get a breath outside, breath of fresh air outside. You know, it's so in that sense it was, and that's when I started again, because it needed something to anchor me outside of her energy. So bravery, back to bravery. So I don't know where I am with parties. I don't know what it'd be like. It depends who, what, why, when.
Yeah. Is there a way that, sorry, go ahead.
It's whose party.
Any of them.
Am I interested? See, without alcohol, not that bothered about other people, frankly, to live without them. It's what you learn when you give up alcohol, is that how many times you put up with people just because you're all drinking together, when actually sober you're a bit of an ass, especially if they're drinking.
Yeah.
A great eye-opener.
Yeah.
Right.
So what comes up for you from Not Loveable, where you might deploy bravery, or even its opposite, I guess, not to label cowardness.
I follow a thread, but I'm not sure it will end up at Unloveable. And that is, I think of this as a good thing, but it is totally a workaround. And that is, I will be absolutely brutal with the truth, regardless of how it makes me appear. Like, in that sense, it's bravery. Like, I won't hide something that, if I was more discerning, I might think would actually be better left unsaid. I'm truthful to the nth degree about things, to the extent that I will uncover over and above what's required. And that's when it becomes a workaround. It's because it's really basically, if I tell you all of this, you can never think that I am deceptive. You can never think that I've done anything wrong, or that I've done. So does that go back to Unloveable? I could trace that back to Unloveable, that if you found me in a lie, or not even that's a really strong, because I don't lie. I don't think I've ever lied without either doing it very, very deliberately. But I generally do not lie at all about anything. And my truthfulness goes over and above what is necessary, because I feel that it's a workaround in the sense that I don't feel, I guess I'm not scared, not even getting caught out, because there's nothing to catch out, fear of being misunderstood. But I will. So here, here's an example. Is that bravery? Yes, is bravery. So what occurred to me when you said about it being a workaround is, so we used to live in another village with my first husband, who was very mindful of how other people saw us. I'm a bit more brash about things, so he was quite insecure in that way. And we were in the local pub, and we had been told, we'd just moved in, and somebody had told us that our neighbours who we hadn't yet met had shot a dog. Now, I'm sure there was a story behind it, but we didn't know what the story was. And when I met them, I said, oh, are you the neighbours that shot the dog? Just because we had two sets. Now, I'm not talking about that as truth. That's just me being blunt, basically. What's the word? Tactless, I think is the word you're looking for. And it was just because in my head, we had two sets of neighbours. One of them shot the dog and the other one I didn't know. That was it. It wasn't, but obviously, so there was this sort of taken aback, my new neighbours were, and it didn't occur to me, because I was like, well, and then later, paranoid hangover, I'm like, fuck, did I actually say that? And I went round immediately to their house and said, I'm so sorry, I wasn't thinking, I wasn't actually thinking of the incident, it's just I had put you in this box. And everyone else was like, I would never ever have gone around to see them ever again. I would have just, like I won't do that if I can't bear. But this is where it's workaround. I would rather be totally humiliated than have somebody think that I had been deliberately rude. Like, it's my uncomfortableness with, oh my God, what must they thought I meant? Because I had just wasn't thinking. I wasn't thinking of the incident around the dog at all. I was simply identifying them, and was too caught up in the moment of talking and chatting and that, of realizing what I'd said. So I would rather go and face it out with somebody than be misunderstood, or that's all about Unloveable, isn't it? So there's mine.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
That's one word for it.
Well, I mean, like, just putting yourself, like, everything. It's interesting to me that there's this bravery in this regard, because people could really, like, what did happen? Because I could see, like, the people, okay, were they the ones that actually shot the dog?
That's always, sorry again?
Were they the ones that actually shot the dog?
Yes.
Oh.
And there was a story behind it, and I don't remember. It wasn't.
Okay.
I can't even remember. I mean, it wasn't like a horrible story. I don't know, something had happened. It's a farm. I don't know. I can't remember. I actually can't remember. I just knew that the way I'd said it in a pub, in a public place, was perhaps indiscreet.
Yeah.
Plus, shall we say. They were fine about it. And that's always been my experience. So when I am completely transparent with people, I've never had, I won't say never, but I can't recall ever having bad experience with that. Might be fucking uncomfortable, but I've never had anybody who didn't react, as in take it in the manner in which I meant it, and actually been grateful for my honesty. Shall we put it that way?
Yeah.
I've never had anyone. I did this course. I realize I'm talking a lot. I did this course actually in the olden days when you went on courses, and it was exactly about that. And it was about truth, and it was about how, in a difficult situation, by sticking completely to the truth and saying, here's why I'm here, or here's the situation, here's how I say it. By basically laying things out is one of the first things you do about peacemaking or awkward situations and that. And I was like, people need to be told this. Like, it just, that's just my mode operandus. Is that the word? That's just how I act. I would never do anything other than be completely transparent with somebody, ever. So I was like, I can't believe people actually need to be taught how to do this as a skill. Whereas for me, it's who I am. It's not so in some cases it's a workaround, because I don't want to be, the fear of being misunderstood is greater than any fear I have of the repercussions of telling the truth.
Yeah. So fear of being misunderstood being
Because then
misunderstood could lead to, what?
because then you won't love me. If you misunderstand who I am, you might not love me.
Yeah. Whereas if I'm brave and I share it all, and yes, I'm freezing people. This is why I have this big blanket around me. If you share it all, there's no question that then, though, I'm curious, then if they still don't respond, well, that's cute. You haven't had the situation. For the most part, anytime you've used that workaround of bravery or protection mechanism, right, of bravery and just shared it all, you've actually been able to reinforce being lovable, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I mean, there must be times, but it's A, never stopped me, and B, I don't recall any time. And I've had other people go, "Oh my God, you're so brave," and I'll be like, "It's not, to me. That's not bravery. That's a compulsion to tell the truth, to explain, justification, I suppose. Not wanting.
Yeah.
I don't see it as bravery, but I guess it's only brave if somebody doesn't. It's only brave. Well, it's not an option open to me, so it's hard for me to see it as bravery.
Right. Yeah. I like how you said it's a compulsion. So to me, like because, so Brad and I started watching Outlander.
Okay, that's a Scottish thing, is it?
It is a Scottish thing. It was a series of books by Diane. I'm not going to say her name right, like Gabladon or something like that. And it's about a woman in the 40s, English woman in the 40s. She and her husband go to Scotland. She walks in like a Craig de Goot, something of like stones. It's like a Stonehenge, but it's not that one. It's a different one because you all got them everywhere, right? From what I understand. This bit of Scottish history I have is really from Outlander and Wuthering Heights. Let's just say that. So anyway.
Wuthering Heights?
Yeah.
So
Isn't that where in the moors? Doesn't that take place on the moors?
the moors aren't in Scotland, are they?
I thought they were.
Oh my God, keep talking, I'll look it up.
Okay. I have no idea. I just thought it was. So there you go. I might be even more limited. Anywho, so she ends up going back in time to like I don't know, whenever the Jacobites were there trying to put their king back on the throne. The Scottish people. Anywho, so that's just what am I talking about? What was I just talking about? I lost my train of thought.
Well, I'm looking up moors.
Oh, bravery. No, bravery. Because like they just like in bravery, like the guys are just like immediately fighting and all these types of things. So, but it doesn't necessarily have to be
bravery, though.
Maybe not, because it's more like bravado. Thank you, Aslan. This is like, that's more to me like a lot of bravado. Like, you can't say that about my mother, and then swords come out and everybody. It's like, oh my God, seriously. But that's what it was. I don't know where I'm going with that. For some reason, I'm supposed to tell you that I'm watching that show. It's very scandalous. It's a bit scandalous. There's a lot of nudity, just like Game of Thrones. But anyway, I digress.
Well, it's not Outlander, you said.
Which is kind of like Highlander, because Highlander was also time travel, also Scottish.
Sorry, so I was going to say, how did she go? Why did she go? Why? I don't understand. She goes to Scotland, then just goes back.
She goes to Scotland. She gets into like this mystical area that's like a Stonehenge, but it's not. And then it sucks her back into time. And the next thing she knows, she's found just in the nightshirt. And
okay, apparently there are moors in Scotland, Rannoch Moor, wherever that is, but the moors in Wuthering Heights is Yorkshire.
Oh, okay. Well, now I know. Learned something new today. Thank you, Kate.
We learn something new all the time.
All the time. All the time. Yes.
So yeah, what you're saying then is the actual archetypical warrior.
Yeah. I think that's what we think of as brave, and that's not necessarily what we're talking about.
Brave. You see, what is brave? Because people who go through tragedy and they go, oh, they're so brave. And you're like, they've no fucking choice, right? You don't choose.
Well, you could choose to not deal with it. You know, you could go through something super hard and not deal with it. Instead, suppress it, oppress it, push it aside. And, you know, if you don't deal with, so to deal with it and be open, or you don't have to be open with others about it. That's not what I'm saying, but to at least be in conversation with yourself, however that may be, whether it's in conversation with your guides, soul, spirit, your God, whatever it is that gives, you know, has better perspective outside of your ego. But to have that can be brave, because to me, if you don't deal with it, that actually will continually cause something else that could force you to deal with it. But
that's interesting. So a lot of things just fell into place there for me. So we talked briefly about that. I had a bit of a meltdown last week, and I can't remember how you knew that.
you told me, you texted me, and you shared a little. You didn't tell me anything about it.
I actually can't remember. Well, it's about my food. I don't know. It's just a lot of things.
Yeah.
Just and then what
Right.
am I actually doing? I don't have enough customers. I'm not going to make enough money. I'm not, the whole fear thing and all of that. And then, but I've realised now that when I start freaking out about my food, actually there's something else going on, because I'm like, oh, am I doing the fasting? I'm not doing the fasting. What do I do? It's too many choices. I don't know what I'm doing, and all of that. And then I'd started reading Gabby Bernstein's book, The Universe is Here to Support You. That's not the one. It is.
The universe has your back.
That's the one, which my sister had given me ages ago, and it's got a lot of Course in Miracles. Did I say this last week? Did I have started reading it? As I had my little meltdown, because I remember writing about A Course in Miracles in the notes when I did last week's. You haven't seen it yet. They haven't seen it. They will have done. I do it whenever. I was doing the week before's notes, and I'd done about the Course in Miracles because Gabby Bernstein sort of refers to them. But what she'd said was, she sort of like recognized that it's fear, because it is all this, oh my God, I'm not making any money, I'm not, there's no good, and I believe in law of attraction, but if I can't sort out my vibration, I'm fucked. So it doesn't really matter whether it's true or not, because I can't get there. Oh my God, it's all shit. What do I do now? I can't go back to my old way of living, and yet this isn't working for me. How am I going to, all of that. And then chapter 3, universal assignment, and that's what she says. When you next have a meltdown. Now, I was having a meltdown as I was reading this, not realizing it's like, this is something coming up to be healed. Like, and she said, it was the words she used, which was something about, you need to look at your craziness. And I thought, oh, because it is, because you just go into this like, it's all fucked, can't survive, don't know what I'm going to do, the whole world's gone to shit, now my diet, oh my God, I can't get anything right, oh my God, what am I going to do about my food, I don't know, there's too many choices, I don't know, why is life so difficult, I can't believe I'm so tired of this, all my life I've been fighting my weight, and everybody's got a fucking idea, and fasting's a fucking con anyway, because you're only losing weight because you're actually not eating as many calories, and yet they say that it's a different way of living. It's not a different way of living, it's just another way of starving yourself. Do you know, all that? It's really hard being me, Julie. And then I was like, and the thing is, I can't actually even remember what triggered the meltdown, because it's so I'm trying to do her exercises, but I'm sort of that bit we talked about where you skirt around the edges, not look at it directly. I can't look at it directly right now because I'm still very much in the sort of, oh the fuck energy of, I can't believe how quickly I can unravel when I'm having a meltdown. And so everybody's my enemy, the world's fucked, it's not fair, I try so hard, poor me, all of that. So universal assignment, I will eventually look it in the eye. Right now I'm a little confused as to actually what triggered it. I might have to maybe I'll go back over whatever I said to you and go, oh, is that what triggered it? Because I can't remember what triggered it.
Yeah, you sent me a picture of two pages, a spread, and you said something, and then I said, do you want to talk? Like, because I have to, you're like, no, I'm okay. Okay.
I'll look at that. See, it just goes. It's just like, 1 minute the whole world's ending, and the next minute I'm going, oh, like I had a red squirrel today, ran into the road, and then turned around and ran out, and I was like,
huh,
fucking miracle. 1, to get a red squirrel in Scotland, and 2, not to mash it. So I was like, thank you, universe, because that would have really ruined my day.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is crazy. So this is where I love like synchronicity. I love synchronicity all the time, but this is some synchronicity. So I did a workshop yesterday with someone that I met at an animal communication event that I was invited to do. Met her, and we then did this workshop. We created a workshop and did this together. And it's the animal guide team, and squirrel kept coming up yesterday again and again. And the erratic behavior was part of it. So that was like for you too. I'm going to pull my little book. So I'm using the medicine cards book from Jamie Sams and David Carson. So I'm just curious here because it's so cool. I think sometimes when the wild animals do stuff like, oh my gosh, yesterday too, I was getting, oh my gosh, I had so many bees too yesterday. That was a whole other thing. All right, 26. Hold on, let me just double check here. 20. Oh, almost right to it. Thank you, everybody. Okay, gathering.
Yeah, I'm looking up and what Colette says.
Okay, Colette Barron Reed.
Yeah.
So for this, the main word for squirrel is gathering. And then there's a little poem and it says, squirrel, you have gathered nuts by the score, exactly predicting if you'll need more. Teach me to take no more than I need, trusting great mystery to harvest the seed. Cool.
Yeah.
You can prepare for anything. Safe place to put your gatherings. This safe place is an untroubled heart and mind, and that which is gathered to put in this place is wisdom and caring. Aww.
I'll show you this picture because it's really very sweet. That's what, yeah. So they must all have a unless they're all in it together. Oh no, they're not in order, are they? So I'll never be able to find it. You can't, because that's her pictures are so beautiful. I can't make it smaller.
Is that squirrel?
Yeah, little red squirrel.
Okay, cool. Oh, cool.
Because you do realize it was the Americans that brought over the grey squirrel, which is killing the red squirrel. Apparently, that's probably a slight generalization. Yeah, you need reminding that the acorns you've gathered and stowed away have enormous potential to grow.
Oh my gosh, and I just read that book from James Hillman. Do I have a new video? I may have a new video coming out. I don't remember where all I am, but I read this book from James Hillman called The Soul's Code, and it was all about, he has this thing called the acorn theory, which gets you away from all the parental necessarily influence, but that everybody's born as an acorn, and that acorn has the potential to be anything. As tall as it needs to be, as big as it needs to be, as many branches as it needs. There's a design in there already. So that's so cool. Like, oh, there's just so much. Oh, I love it. There's so much going on.
I think it's next week though, because you have an appointment that cannot be missed.
Yes. So we're gonna have to leave it there. So bravery, as it pertains to Not Loveable, right? So if everybody takes a listen and then thinks of other ways that they use bravery. And you can even think ahead and let us know, and we will try to address it as we move forward through this fabulous month of October, the beginning of the fourth quarter of 2023, the beginning of, to some degree, the holiday season, if for those of you that count Halloween. Yay.
All I know is it's getting colder. Put the heating on last night. It was freezing.
Yeah, I haven't gone that far yet. We'll see. Yeah. Anyway, all right. So you want me to take it up, or you want?
Who started? Yeah. I can't remember, Julie.
I think you started, so I'll say it. So anyway, thank you everybody for listening to us this week. This is Making Light Two Humans Being. I'm Julie Hirt. With me, as always, is Kate Foggo, where we talk about a workaround on a monthly basis. This month is Bravery, of course. And we will let you know what you can expect. Right now, we're talking about Not Loveable. Next week will be Not Worthy, I believe. We will look at bravery through the lens of not worthy. So join us next week. Every week, our episodes come out on Friday on YouTube and now also on Spotify and soon to be other podcast platforms. So please follow us here. Follow us wherever you'd like to. We appreciate you being here and we look forward to seeing you next time here on Making Light Two Humans Being.